What's up, everybody? Fred Minnick here, and I sit before you in the front of this camera in absolute disbelief more than 8 years after my first initial begging of Maker's Mark to come out with a cast-strength 12-year-old. They have done it. Well, not quite exactly. It is a composite of 11-year-old and 12-year-old, but I'll take it. This, my friends, is the effort of years of hard work, of trolling, of trying to use my influence to get Maker's Mark to come out with this, to do everything that I could to make sure that this product came to market, because many of us whiskey geeks have always believed that Maker's Mark, if they ever put anything out that was over 8 years old, it would be sublime. Now, I'm going to taste this and give you my full review on this, my honest review, as best as I can. I'm going to try to remove all of my bias in effort to get this product out, to give you my review. Anyway, so some background here. This all started in 2015 at my event, the Legend Series with the Kentucky Derby Museum, where I interview master distillers and legends of the industry. Bill Samuels Jr., the iconic chairman of Maker's Mark, comes to the event with 12-year-old cask strength Maker's Mark, and they had this belief that by tasting this with people, you would prove their point of tasting for each batch, like creating batches for taste and not age. Maker's Mark has never believed in age statements. They believe in bottling to taste, and that's a pretty common no age statement argument. Is like, if you are using an age statement, then you are bottling for that age and not necessarily how it tastes. Maker's Mark has always believed and stood by this, that they don't believe in age statements. However, Bill Samuels was absolutely shocked to see how people reacted to the 12-year-old cask strength. Now, I've got a clip for you from that event coming up, but first I want to go through all the trolling that I have done over the years to make this happen. Now, if there was ever a press junket, or if there was a group of reporters, or there was a meeting with Maker's Mark, if I was meeting with Maker's Mark for Bourbon and Beyond or whatever, I always found a way to ask whoever was there, no matter if it was the distiller, if it was the chief financial officer of Jim Beam, if it was the chairman, whoever it was, I asked this flat-out question: when will we see 12-year-old Maker's Mark cask strength? Because, again, it was so amazing, I felt like it was a missed opportunity for this iconic brand to come out with a 12-year-old. Now, here is the first tweet that I put out when I was really trying to ruffle their feathers to try and make this happen. I put out a poll in 2017, August 11th, 2017, if Maker's Mark announced a 12-year-old tomorrow, would you buy it? I would go on to continue my trolling efforts, and anytime that they would have a conversation like this one here on October 21st, 2021, we're just going to say it. Pumpkin spice is overrated. You know what? I'm going to agree with that. But I replied, you know what's not overrated? 12-year-old cask strength Maker's Mark. It's not overrated. It's quite yummy, or at least it was. And so that was what I was doing. And last year, once again, I kind of did my little annual tweet. Today is an excellent day for Maker's Mark to announce a 12-year-old cask strength. Who wants that other than me? Of course, you can see it got quite a few views, 37,000. And I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And finally, I've done videos about it before as well. And this year, I was planning to queue this whole thing up around Christmas. Then I started hearing little rumors that this might actually be happening. And voila. In August of this year, so just a couple weeks ago, They replied to my tweet, which at this point was 6 years old. So they had this queued up, no doubt, for a while. And it was a response to my poll, and it was simply better late than never. Now, at this point, I had seen the TTB approvals out there that Cumming Whiskey had posted, that everybody had been tagging me in. I've been kind of known for talking about this product coming out for a while, or hoping that it would come out. So when I tell you that this is a dream come true for me from a whiskey perspective, I am not lying. And I am still in shock. I've got it poured right here in my fancy Glencairn. So I'm still in shock that this is here, that it's in my glass. I cannot wait to find out what this is all about. But before I do that, like I always do in my history lessons, before I do a tasting, I think it's really important for you to see where this began. So I'm going to take you to a clip. It's a 3-minute clip. If you want to go past it and go straight into my tasting, I will have a link in the description or my comments that will take you straight to this timestamp of where I do the tasting. But this is something that you do not want to miss. I've played it on this channel before, but it's very entertaining, I think, to anybody who is a whiskey fan. This is my time in 2015. You can see my hair's less gray. I'm actually thinner now than I was then. And my son Oscar was just about to turn 2 years old. Probably wasn't getting a lot of sleep at this point. And I didn't have a full beard. I just had a goatee. But here I am with Bill Samuels Jr. in 2015 at the Kentucky Derby Museum.
I'm guessing at this, but I'm pretty sure that I'm right. Our whiskey stays in the upper floors for 3 years, and then it spends its last 3 years on the lower floors with the windows open. This is 6 more years. I'd bet the house that all 6 of those were spent on the lower floors. So it's the intensity of those other 6 years is not all that great. Okay? If it had half of those 6 years up on top, the extra 6 years, this would be noticeably stronger.
Now, see, You're trying to influence everyone's opinion.
I'm trying to tell you the facts.
Well,
and the second part of the facts, you and pay particular attention to the nose. Bourbon gets richer
like
every year it's in the barrel.
You're getting in there, and those.
That's the best part of old whiskey, is the nose.
This is a gorgeous nose. Can I get an agreement on that? It's a gorgeous nose.
Yeah, the nose is spectacular, isn't it? If we could borrow this nose and then throw the whiskey away, I'd be perfectly happy.
You don't like this whiskey?
Not really.
But you also admitted that you're not a higher proof guy, so I don't know if you can be objective here, Bill.
Well, I'm thinking more about how it's starting to migrate to the back of the mouth. That's all.
See, I'm feeling this bourbon just completely coat my mouth in like a nice mouth coating mouthfeel with a good the caramels and vanillas, like a creme brulee in there, a little roasted marshmallow.
How about the tannins?
Just a hint.
How about the tannins? That's where all the color comes from.
It's not over oaked for me.
Well,
it's not over oaked. There's a lot of over oaked bourbons on the market, as you well know. But this is, I think this would do quite well in competition. We
only got one bottle left, so I don't have to wait another 6 years.
Send it to the San Francisco World Spirits Competition.
I'd
love to. That's right. You guys don't send bottles to competition.
No. Everybody's brainwashed. Remember, I want y'all to know something. He won't tell you this, but this concept of acquired taste was developed by bourbon marketers in the early 1900s. every time you took a drink of strong whiskey, it kind of made you stiffen up. And the marketers would say, "Oh, I know you don't like it, but if you keep practicing, you'll get to where you like it." See, he's been influenced by that concept.
And now I'm the influencer.
I know you are.
I tell people to taste. Oh, no, you got to taste one more. Show of hands, who like the 12-year-old?
You can't have any. We don't.
And that's that was my interview with Bill Samuels in 2015. Bill and I should point out, Bill and I are very good friends, and if that came off as like edgy banter, that's how it is. He's also an Oklahoma State fan, so we've bonded over the years talking about Oklahoma State, and he's taken my family out to dinner. We're friends, but as always, when I have friends in the whiskey business, they respect what I do, and if I don't like the whiskey, this is Bill and Rob and all of Maker's Mark. Anytime I've said anything critical of Maker's Mark, they've always been very respectful of that. So I'm actually very nervous about this because I want to like this so much. I'm afraid that I'm going to try to overcompensate for that. So whatever I do here, I'm going to throw it in a blind tasting at some point. But this is, like I said before, it's very rare that I have a vision of a whiskey that should come to market. And with all the barrel finishes that are out there, with everything that's going on, this is something that I've been wanting on the market for a long time. I'm very excited about it. Now, some details about it. This aged for a normal 6 years in how Maker's Mark ages their products. And then they moved it to the cellar that they had chipped out like a kind of a, for lack of a better term, if you've ever done the private tour or you've done a tour there, they take you in the cellar where they're doing all those private selections. They created that. So it's kind of built like a cave, but they cut into that earth and created it, because they were using that for their Maker's 46. Early on when they were doing Maker's 46, which is a product that takes French oak staves and put them into a barrel, they found that when it got too hot, that it released too much of the tannins. They didn't like it, so they wanted to have a little bit cooler. They wanted to slow that aging process, which is being used more and more in American whiskey. They used to heat barrels up. Now you got a lot of people who are trying to cool them down. But anyway, so they moved those in there because, as Bill said, there's a belief from Maker's Mark that older whiskey at Maker's Mark gets pulverized by the heat. So that's their belief. I'll let them go with that. And this is it's a batch, so they call it a blend of aged barrels. However, they could have called it a batch. They could have called it a composite. This is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, so it's not, and it's all from Maker's Mark, so they're not combining other distilleries there. I don't think anyone's questioning that. I just think that this label is very telling of the mindset of Kentucky bourbon distillers. 10 years ago, you never would have seen a brand like Maker's Mark put blend of two different ages on there. They just never would have done that. But this is 13% 11-year-old bourbon and 87% 12-year-old. So, man, I've been waiting for this moment for a long time, and here I go. At the 1407 mark, I'm going to taste Maker's Mark Cellar Age. And I do have it in my nice little Glencairn. When I came out with my podcast, The Fred Minnick Show, which we are rebranding right now, so you got new episodes coming out soon. Glencairn gave me these fancy glasses. I only bust them out occasionally. It's very floral. It's very fruity. There's some pecan notes in here. Some tobacco. I mean, I could really smell this all day long. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Oh, wow. Wow. As crazy as it sounds, like I feel my whole body's just feeling this whiskey. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. This is complex. This is not going to be a bourbon where you can say it's this one thing over another. This is absolutely beautiful. It's not over oaked. It's not there's no like prominent tannins there, like that was a concern for Bill when you heard them talking about it. This is as close to what I thought this could taste like as I possibly imagined. And I'm going to do my best, do my absolute best to give you flavors of the Maker's Mark Cellar Age. But it's one of those, I'm at a disadvantage here. It's my first time tasting it. But I kind of want to be left alone with my thoughts. But I also want to describe this to you. But this is making me want to write. It's making me want to journal. It's making me, I'm feeling poetic. Like I want to sit down and write. And for those who don't know, I write books. And I'm in the middle of writing a new book. And I might be drinking this, might give me a few more bottles, but this is something else. All right, here we go. I'm gonna do my best to break this down for you all. Apologies in advance because whatever I tell you will not be the full description of what this is to me. It approaches the palate like a wave. Like it starts on the tip of the tongue, waves back, goes underneath, curls up underneath. It's almost like butter. And I say that a lot, but there's not a saturation continuous. Like it's like the coating is on the tongue, even after so many seconds after I had swallowed it. It is still on the tongue, and not just a little bit, but powerful, very pronounced. And yes, caramel chew. You have all these beautiful creme brulee notes. There's a Nutella here. I mean, there's a really just lots of kind of hazelnut notes, which I understand Nutella would follow, but a little bit more in depth. Hazelnuts or some chestnuts, those roasted chestnuts that you get during the holidays. There's hints of chocolate, but not milk chocolate, more of a dark chocolate. There are subtle hints of some kind of, I think, for a lack of a better term, and this is going to sound awful because that tweet earlier, but pumpkin spice, Maybe it's just a nutmeg, but I feel like it's more nuanced than just nutmeg. And frankly, pumpkin spice is overused. It's an overused term. Let's just say a blend of nutmeg, cinnamon, and something else. There's like a hint of smoked paprika in this. And some might interpret a smoked paprika as being the tannins. But for me, it's just a really nice note. Wow. Like a dark cherry. And this finish is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Like, I have a feeling that if I were to let this go, which I know you all don't want to sit here and watch me just look in the camera as it's finishing, but it's still finishing. The very first taste that I had on my tongue would probably still be finishing if I didn't add more bourbon to my palate. But I have a feeling that this is a 2 to 4 minute finish. And sign me up for tasting this with cigars. Have a steak with this. This is amazing. And I have no doubt this is going to win somebody's whiskey of the year. I have no doubt that it's going to do quite well in my top 100. I have no doubt that if and when they do enter it into a competition, I think it could slay the competition. I think it could do very well depending on the competition. But it is 115 proof, 115.7 proof. Maker's Mark goes into the barrel at 110. So that is their cask strength. This is great. And I'm so excited it's here. And I also I really can't believe it. I still cannot believe it. I guess it just goes to showing that the squeaky wheel does get the grease, right? Isn't that the saying? All these years of me complaining about getting Maker's Mark 12-year-old, it paid off. And I'll tell you what, it does not disappoint. But thank you all so much for tuning in. And I'm still giddy about this. It's still finishing on my palate. It's still finishing. That's how amazing this is. So thank you all for tuning in. That's going to do it for this review. If you're not already, become a subscriber. If you'd like to take a look at my whiskey club, go check it out. You can find the link in my description. It's Club Marzipan. We do weekly tastings. We have a special taste camp where I train people how to taste like pros. Do a lot of exclusive content in there. If you want to learn more about history and whiskey in general, it's a good place for you. We also have special barrel picks upcoming. We have a Jack Daniel's barrel proof and a pinhook, an 8-year-old pinhook. So go in there and check that stuff out. That's going to do it here, folks. Be safe out there. And remember, vodka sucks unless it's being used to clean up the murder of a dead cat. Cheers.